is Seahawks Weekly, and I'm right next to a very tall man right now who's taking a selfie. That's exactly right. KJ, it was a video. Right. So everybody give a huge hand for KJ Wright, who is here with us. Seahawks Weekly, we're at Pearl Bar and Dining. We're going to be giving away a couple tickets. KJ, thanks for coming out tonight.
Oh, yeah, enjoyed it.
A little bit of a different week, because it's Thursday night, but it's really kind of like your guys' Wednesday.
Yeah.
Does it change things when you're going to be playing on Monday night?
No, it doesn't at all. We got 3 days off this week, which we really needed. And it feels good to go in a Monday night football game. Everybody's going to be watching. Got a good opponent in Detroit Lions, and so I'm excited to get out there.
KJ, I was talking to a couple guys at the bar, and I said, when KJ Wright came in here out of Mississippi State, I saw that you could cover a lot of ground. I watched you at the Combine, believe it or not.
Yeah,
and you stood out to me because I'm like, wow, that guy covers lots of ground. But then you got here, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I think he might be too tall.
Yeah, I ran a 4.7, so I ain't covered too much ground.
Well, you know what, though? That doesn't matter because I was watching you during the drills.
Yeah.
It was uncanny. I'm like, wow, this guy, I had to run it back and everything. But, I was talking to these guys down here on the bar about the fact that, in the NFL, it's a leverage game. You got to get under people, but you're really tall, and that's, I think most people look at it and go, well, that's a disadvantage, but you do a really good job of getting under blockers and keeping that leverage.
Yeah, that's all about playing linebacker. You got to stay low to the ground, and it's something that we emphasize all the time. When I first got here, we used to do drills underneath the chute. Y'all remember those?
Yeah.
We used to jump underneath the chute, and it's just something that I got to do, especially with my height.
Danny would have no problem getting underneath the chute.
It would actually be it wouldn't be the height that was the problem, it would be the strength and quickness.
Yeah.
I might be able to run a 6'7".
You don't got speed?
No, God, does it look like it? Maybe to the buffet line, man.
All right, Kay, so you did say you guys had 3 days off?
Well, not technically 3 days off. We went in on Tuesday and did our normal Monday. But I go in every day, so I don't really have a day off.
I'm not that old yet, Dave, but that sounds like being spoiled to me. I'm going to just come out and say that.
Oh, man, you turned into an old man.
All of a sudden?
He's a grumpy old man.
You're too young to be an old man.
Man, I'm old and retired, but I want to talk about covering ground. You talked about how you moved around, and I want to get you to explain to the normal fan, that you got the linebacker drops and stuff like that, and you talk about the safeties and the quarterbacks. They get all the love, they get all the interceptions and all the glory and stuff like that, but break it down for the average fan and just explain how important those linebacker drops are.
Yeah, it's critical, man, because everybody we run the cover 3 defense, and so we got hook players and we have buzz players. And at any time, a receiver can come in your zone, a tight end, a running back, and so for the most part, we covering the whole, the whole offense. And so I believe that that's what makes our linebackers so special, is that we can cover, guys all over the football field, and I really like the structure of our defense because it really shows, our athleticism and just how good we are as football players.
People will use the word simple, which is probably the worst word to use to describe something.
Yeah.
But one of the things that someone else had said was that the athletes that you guys have, from top to bottom, from the guys in the secondary, from what Earl does at the back end, to what you guys do as linebackers, that kind of makes it so you don't have to do a lot of scheme to cover up what might be weaknesses on your guys' part.
Yeah, I believe it. I was actually talking to my linebacker coach, Coach Beaver, about the scheme of our defense, and we did use it. He said it's real simple. Some defenses, if you have a certain motion, the whole defense change, or if you got an empty set, the whole defense change. But with us, we get a simple motion, the guys just bump over, we get to empty, we just say one word and everything's good. And so our defense is just real simple, and I believe that's what makes us play fast.
KJ, you just mentioned Michael Barrow, who's a guy that played when I played and always admired his career. But, 2 of my favorite Seahawks of all time, one sitting right next to me, and Marcus Trufant. And
thank you.
Yeah, and I'm not just saying that because he's here, because Danny vouched for me.
It's true.
Yeah, but the other one is Lofa Tatupu, and he's also coaching you a little bit. Talk about how much that means to you. You've been very lucky because you've had a guy, Ken Norton Jr., who was an All-Pro, multiple Super Bowl winner, and now you got Lofa Tatupu, you got Michael Barrow. You've had some pretty good coaches there.
Yeah, I have. And the crazy thing, going back to college, I had 4 different linebacker coaches, and none of them ever played linebacker. But I believe that's really special. I got guys that's played 13 plus years with Coach Norton and Barrow, and then Lofa, he was just Pro Bowler when he was here. And so it just really helps me just give different things from those guys and be able to expand my game, because those guys did it at a real high level, and I'm just glad that we got them in our building.
All right, well, I like bringing the fans into the locker room in the practice. So you guys do turnover Thursday. Is it turnover Thursday? Right.
But tomorrow's gonna be turnover Friday.
Okay, yeah, turnover Friday because Monday night game, so it's just over one day. Right. You try to trip me up a little bit. I see what you did there. But just explain to the fans of how you guys work on that every week. To where it's pretty much, but you don't even think about it anymore. You know, the strips and all that kind of stuff. You had a strip a couple weeks ago, I think, that you went to the running back, you got him on the sideline. But just explain to the average 12 how much work goes into that.
Every day we have our certain theme, and Turnover Thursday is one of my favorite days because Coach Seto get up there and present different ways to get the ball. We got the strips, we got the interceptions, we got the sack calls, fumbles. And so they really trigger things in our head and just makes us visualize, going after the football, making sure you get those interceptions, scoop and score. And so I really like the way that they present it in front of the whole team. And so we just constantly emphasize it, and so we don't lose track of it.
Hey, real quick, KJ, as far as, and I love that play was the one that you made against Green Bay was it's great evidence of how things have changed since the time that I played. It was just tackle the guy and get him on the ground. Now, you always wanted to get turnovers, but it was almost like that came because it just happened. Whereas you guys are actually causing it, but also you got to kind of walk a fine line because you don't want to miss the tackle, right? And so, you secure the tackle. Just kind of describe that play, and because there's got to be some times where your coaches tell you, hey, you can't go for the strip yet because you got to get the tackle.
Yeah, and I believe linebacker, of course, first thing you got to do is make the tackle. You got to make the tackle. But I believe once you get a guy in a certain position, I always talk about second man in. When the first guy has the guy stood up, the second guy comes in and go after the ball. So that's what they talk about all the time. If you got a guy that kills the ball loose and you see the ball, he's not having it in the ground for you can go for a punch and then still be able to make the tackle. Sometimes you got to take a shot.
Here's one of the ways it's changed since Dave played. He had a defensive coordinator who one of the ways he motivated his players, it was with a hand puppet. And it was a beaver. And when Dave caused a fumble and he got over to the sidelines, all of a sudden the coach had the little beaver out because it was the hardest working animal of the animal kingdom. Is this correct, Dave? Am I lying?
It's amazing the details that you remember, Danny, especially when it's some derogatory thing towards me. No, there was. And actually, you know what? The guy who did that, Greg Robinson, he's a friend of Pete Carroll's.
He's a huge friend of Pete's.
Yeah, and so
you might have a beaver coming out pretty soon. It's like, hey, KJ.
You should ask him, but the other thing, too, is we used to put money in a pot. We called it the Beaver pot, and so everybody would put like $50 in there, I think, or maybe it was 100. But I won it a couple of times.
It's funny. Lofa actually brought that up last week about bringing up a turnover pot.
Yeah.
It was like $1,000. It wasn't $50. It was like $1,000. Everybody put in $1,000.
That's another way that the game has changed.
Big money. I don't know about that one, Lofa. That's a little bit more.
KJ, let me just explain to you. Like back then, $50 was really a lot of money. Okay. So, but no, I remember one time I got like $1,000 for creating the first turnover, and I was like, wow, man, I was throwing money around like a drunken sailor. Yeah. So
KJ Wright is with us here. It is Seahawks Weekly. You go a game against Chicago, and the way your guys' defense played, you get Cam back in there, which a lot of people have talked about, but they don't get within 45 yards of a touchdown. They crossed midfield once. How did that feel? How did your guys' defense feel that game?
We just owned it that day. They came out with a real simple game plan. They had their backup quarterback, so I believe their game plan was try not to, just lose the game. But it was just real simple. He just managed it. They tried to really come out there and run the ball, and they had a little success early. But I'm just telling you, when we get at home, I believe it's just something that's we just in our comfort zone. We just play really well. And I believe we should see the same this week, and just having a real good dominating defensive game.
Now, one of the other things that I saw was that your teammate, the guy that lines up next to you, Bobby Wagner, he got his number called on more than one blitz. He got to get in there. Do you get to lobby now? It was his turn that game, so you get some shots this week?
Turn. It definitely should. Bobby, he's a real good blitzer, man, and he hit the quarterback, I believe, 2 or 3 times, and so he was doing a really good job.
All right, yeah. So you had another one of your teammates back on the back end, Cam, and I watched that from play one, and it just looked like the communication, just saw a little bit more, but I don't know if it was better, but I just saw more. I saw Cam, he's talking to the linebackers, talking to the DNs. So do you guys kind of feel whole now? Is that how that feels, or what's going on with that?
Yeah, definitely. Like going back to the Rams game, the communication was non-existent. When I thought about it when I got home that night, it was just we just didn't talk about it. But I believe we did do a better job in the Green Bay game. It did feel a lot better. It just kept getting better when Cam came back. And so that's just something the defense got to do. You got to communicate. Everybody make sure everybody's on the same page. And I'm glad to have 3-1 back out there.
Yeah, I gotta believe KJ. It was kind of awkward for the whole thing with Cam Chancellor because you don't want to say the wrong thing. You love your teammate, and I know this, and maybe it's not still the same way. I know when I played, another player's business was really sacred. You don't mess with it. You don't judge it. You don't say anything. And then, I just got to believe that him coming back and everything has just caused a lot of ease in the locker room a little bit.
Yeah, it has. And we was definitely asked questions about him, but the whole time we support him 100%. He's a guy that we know his heart. We know what he means to this team, and so we support him 100%. But now that he's back, the energy, like the first day he got there, the energy was just really good, and everybody was just happy. Like you said, the team is complete now, and we're home, and I think it'll be something to deal with.
Yeah, we had you in here on the huddle the day that he came back, or I think it was the day after, and you just seemed to be happier, and so, it just seemed like you guys just felt like you were whole again. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the other thing that you told me that day was we were talking about the record at CenturyLink Field. And I love this. I love this about players because I remember it this way. I'm so focused on the next week and the next game plan that I don't know what's going on. Mm-hmm. And so I told you, hey, you guys are 26-2 at CenturyLink, and you're like, oh, really? Yeah. I mean, you obviously knew it was good, but that's what I love about is the focus. But there's also a challenge that goes along with that playing at home for you defensive guys because it's so loud out there. Yeah. You guys really got to be on it as far as the communication goes.
Yeah, we do, and I believe that. I'm telling you, it actually got a little easier with communication versus previous. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just the chemistry that we got. With the guys, but the communication has gotten easier. It felt good last week, and I believe we was talking, and for some reason we was able to hear each other. But the communication has definitely gotten better at home.
One of the things is, though, you guys have played with each other for a while.
Yeah.
And when Pete first got here, there was part of me that wondered, as someone that covered the team, were they just going to constantly cycle through players? Would it just be a new group of draft picks and they pay those guys, and when it was time for you to go through and get another contract, you go play somewhere else?
Yeah.
And they've done a really good job, and there's some players that have left, but it seems like they've made a really big emphasis of getting guys and keeping them here, and that you guys get the benefit of that because you know without having to communicate as much.
Yeah, and I believe it is. I've been here for 5 years, and just keep playing with guys, keep getting a feel for guys, and it definitely becomes easier versus having a new guy come in. You got to start during OTAs and then go to the season with a guy. But I've been with you guys for a real long time, and it makes life real easy for them.
All right. I guess once again I want to bring the crowd into the locker room because everybody wants to be in the locker room. That's everybody's dream. They want to play in the NFL. Mm-hmm. So give us the latest Pete Carroll crazy thing he's done in the meeting. I've heard he still tells the true fun story of my little puppy. I heard of that. That's a false story, though. If anybody hears that,
I haven't heard this. Wait, what's the story?
I'm not going to tell the story. I'm not going to tell the story.
KJ, what, Rufus? Tell us about Rufus.
We got to hear it now.
They wouldn't understand.
Do you guys want to hear about Rufus? Yeah, we want to hear about Rufus.
All right, every time a new player comes in, Coach Carroll calls them up and tells them to share their story with him, like a heartfelt story. And so he used True Fun, for example, and he'd be like, when True Fun came here, he told us about little Rufus. And it's about how little Rufus was True Fun's dog, and for some reason, the dog got lost. And then a couple of days later, the True Fun heard the dog barking in the back of the car, in the trunk of the car. And he's like, ooh, ooh, ooh. And then True Fun's like, Dad, I think I heard the dog. And for some reason, True Fun found the dog in the trunk of the car, almost dead. And there was just a heartfelt story that True Fun shared with the team. So he's a couple of different guys. To do that.
Little Rufus didn't exist?
Little Rufus, he exists in your mind. It's one of those stories. Right.
It's always fun. It never gets old, though.
But that's just the kind of thing Pete Carroll does, and that's why I think he does such a good job with the young players. He brings them in, and he makes it fun.
Yeah.
You say he's a player's coach, but it's not like it's easy, but he just makes the atmosphere so great with the music and everything at practice. I played with Coach Holmgren. Things were a little bit different. He was more of the big daddy, the father figure. Right. Kind of the papa bear. Pete, he's different. He's just different in that way.
Yeah, he's laid back, and I really like him because he takes your mind off of football. Like, he showed the music videos before the meetings. He has guys come and give you different presentations. He shows basketball highlights, and so he kind of gets you away from football because if you just do football all day, your brain gets fried, and so you just need a break from it a little bit.
Yeah, so Danny made fun of my age, so now I'm going to talk about him a little bit. KJ, what do you think about his suit? Because today, actually, Pete said that he looks like he was a gangster, but not like gangsta.
First time I've ever been called a gangster.
It was like gangster, like from the 30s or something. What do you think about Danny's
I'm
outfit?
feeling it. I'm really loving the white tie. And,
Do you see yourself ever dressing like that someday?
later on, but not now.
We're here with KJ Wright. And KJ, it's Seahawks Weekly here. We're brought to you by Legendary Donuts, by Bud Light. We've also got Michael's Toyota, Bellevue, as well as Sparkling Ice and Heritage Distillings, our sponsors. It's a safe place.
Yeah.
It's a safe place. Because I'm going to ask you about what happened at the end of the Green Bay game.
Oh, man.
So I wanted to be safe. There's no judgments here. Because I know one guy next to me kind of liked the fact that you took out a little aggression on a certain tight end.
Yeah.
It's a safe place. What happened?
I can only take so much, man. And as a defensive player, you hate getting held. You can do anything. You can cut block me. You can knock me out from the blind side, but don't hold me, and especially when the play is over. And so he was holding me and holding me, and I just got like, bro, I just got to take you to the ground. When I held him down there, then he took a swing at me. Then I got kicked out the game, but
Yeah.
that's
I think what KJ just said can explain every wrongdoing in my life. A man can only take so much. Okay? So, no, but really, KJ, you're such a nice guy. But, you know, I think what people don't realize is, you know, we saw a little bit of that. And, you know, I'm sure you didn't want that to happen.
No.
Did you end up getting fined for that a little bit?
$10,000.
Yeah.
Which is petitions. Yeah, I need a little.
Exactly. Talk about getting a beaver pot going here.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, you better get that turnover. But when you're 51, you'll really go, man, I could use that 10 grand.
Yeah, no.
No, but, you know, look, you're a really nice guy, and, you know, we all see you. But really, especially playing linebacker, I mean, you have that amount of aggression on every play.
Yeah.
I think people don't really realize that, and sometimes it comes out like that.
It's a mean sport. It's guys are really trying to just not hurt each other, but really trying to just bang each other every single play. And it's not a nice man's game. And when you get out there, you just got to flip that switch and just know that it's a dog. You got to be a dog out here. You know, no more nice guys.
Dave's got a good story about one guy who had given him too much. I'm sure it was because of holding, where you decided a Giants lineman that you had to bounce his head off the turf.
Oh, yeah. That was fun.
I know that story.
Yeah, it felt really good. It was Bart Oates. He was a center, and I hit his head so hard on the back of his head that it bounced off the turf.
Really?
It was like one of the best things I've ever done in the NFL. It felt good. It was better than picking off Dan Marino.
Did you get ejected?
No, I just got warned, actually. That was back in the good old days when they would just give you a warning.
Like, don't hit his head so it bounces off the ground again, please.
Yeah, exactly. They give you a warning, and it's too bad. You would have liked playing in those days, KJ.
Yep.
He is KJ Wright. I want everybody. It's very difficult for guys to take time out. For him to come down here tonight, spend this time with us. I'm really grateful for it, KJ. Everybody, give him a nice hand.
Appreciate it. Enjoy it.
It is.